I work as a government worker who has to move from town to the other town. Tomorrow is the last day in the village and I have to go to the new place, to a very strange city, a city with only 70 inhabitants. My boss gave me promise that the service trip was the last, and after it was done, I will go back to headquarters and get the promotion. I was a volunteer nurse assigned to service, treat, care for, and help the civilian community. The journey took me 5 days to reach the old town where my final goal was to volunteer. I sat in the car and my driver would stop occasionally to get some mineral water and snacks for us to eat. We crossed three mountains and valleys. The cool trees by the roadside made me occasionally drowsy and feel sleepy. Sometimes, after we crossed the old bridge, my driver stopped to see old men walking with the help of a cane. My driver stopped by for a moment, asked me which way I was heading to an old town, but I don't know too. The man, the old man was silent for a moment before answering any question for us. After I realized it, the old man was mute and cannot talking. We offered the old man a ride and take him to his destination. Likely, luckily, the old man was able to write. He wrote down an address and we had the same destination. The man gave only a hint by using his finger when we were at a crossroad. An hour since we met our old man and finally we reached the old town. But what gave me the creeps was missing a load of unhinged graves before this unhygiened graves before the city gates. My fear grew even more when the old man asked to be dropped down right in the front of the city gate. The old man wrote some words that his home was near and thanked for his help and encouragement. We looked, we just looked each other in the eye and could say anything. I gave my driver the eye code to leave the gate immediately and go to the address. Yes, go to the house address. It was a very quiet town. Hours ago, we saw over the valley that it was bright, and that is was like a very living city. But upon entering the old city, it looks like the city has no residents. Broken car, it was left by the side of the roads. And it was even worse when I saw the states of the broken roads. I looked down at my watch. It was 10. We have been circling around the old town for 2 hours, but my driver couldn't find the address we were headed to. My driver was tired and sleepy. My driver pulled the steering wheel into the parking lot in front of the old building. He encouraged me to race in the car and continue the house address search on the next day. We woke up because someone knocked on the windshield. He asked us a few questions. After conveying our destination, the stranger took us to our home address. We both feel so weird about what we had last night. My driver had explained it that he had been down the same route several times and had not seen the building in front of us. The stranger introduced himself as a gardener worker. He offered to take care of the park in the old yard where we would live. A very kind stranger. He helped us carry out suitcase and groceries to our supply during the 1 week living in the old city as volunteer health workers. After washing, bathing, changing my clothes, I brought my driver to the mirror face to introduce myself and tell him about our destination in the old city. All the way across the street we walk, just a few older people walking by the side of the road. They waved and smiled at us saying good morning. What a strange old town, my driver said. It was still clear in his memory last night that he saw many damaged housetops and trees had withered. But in the morning, everything looked like a small town in normal condition. I watched from afar. A middle-aged man waved at us. After we read it, it turned out that the building in front of us was the mirror face. He just stood there. He just stood there to greet us. I stepped inside the building and looked around like there was no sign of a government workers inside this building. I have good news. You two are coming to our town and volunteering for a week. The man told me. The man claiming to be the mayor officer in the town. The man gave the order not to visit people's homes in the city. We simply waited and set up a stand in front of the yard, and the people would come for us for a check and get the treatment. We listened to clear instructions and do what we are told. After a lengthy discussion with him, we decided to return home and prepare everything. The old house looked very fragile, but by the time we were inside, the old building was very unique and the interior was very classical and elegant. I cooked for dinner while my driver makes room for us. While my driver secure room for us. It was very quiet. I heard the splash of water inside the bathroom. I was calling my driver's name. Andy, is that you taking the shower? I asked Andy. My driver name is Andy, but there's no answer to my question. To the bedroom which is the next to the kitchen. And then someone behind me and says, "Hey boss, looking for me?" Andy stood in front of the corridor and blinded me. "Andy, this fried chicken will be done soon. Hold on a second. I'm gonna grab some ketchup in my suitcase," I told to Andy. I walked into my room, which made me even more surprised. And Andy was in the room unpacking and breaking out of the medical kit. I still can't figure out what was going on with me, so I called Andy to ask him for dinner. As soon as I got to the kitchen, I was thinking about the fried chicken, but the stranger came back. The strength, the strength will come back when I noticed the temporary chicken legs in the fried were gone. When the fried chicken was done, Andy would place it on the table, but only wheat bread was visible on the table. I don't want to scare myself. I took some fast food and put it inside the microwave. By the time we were at dinner, there was a knock on the door. I let Andy still continue eat and open the door, and I opened the door. I saw two old ladies asking for some bread and milk. They both looked so thin and so stinky. It's like they haven't bathed. It's like they haven't bathed in 10 years. I asked them to wait a while. As soon as I went into the room and got some bread and milk, and yet Andy stood in front of dresser and changing clothes. I'm surprised the pink starlit by my driver still hadn't made me realize the strange old house we live in. Af- After I give the bread and milk, I go back to consume my dinner. For the first time, I felt fear when I saw Andy sitting down and enjoying the dinner. I sat down, I ate my burger, and I didn't have the courage to ask Andy to talk. Dinner is quiet this time. I woke up feeling thirsty, but I heard a splash of water coming from inside the bathroom like someone taking a shower. But I turned aside. Andy is still there. Andy is still there and sleep strikes next to me. My hands are shaking. I reach up my phone and text my friend about the horrifying experience I had tonight. A few minutes later, my friend replied to my text to ignore the strange sound from inside the bathroom and go back to sleep. It was a beautiful morning. We had a row of people waiting in front of us, in front of our yard for a medical check-up and take several treatments. All who visit are elderly, but they look very healthy. Only a few of them request vitamins and demands weight. It was tiring today. It was tiring today. I looked at Andy's face and felt the same tired I did. Before sunset, I take him to buy 2 bottles of whiskey at a store down the street. A shop that looks interesting, a store that has a lot of products, but I feel weird about the products in the show. Snacks products, beef fridge products like I've never seen in town before. This is the first time I've ever seen these products in my life. I saw a gift wrapped product with a picture of potatoes. I bought some packs for us to enjoy together at home. This time I'm with Andy. I'm baking beef. and making a spicy ramyun for both of us to enjoy for dinner. I still get scared from last night. I had cooking in the kitchen. While I was cooking dinner, this old house shook like it was an earthquake. We both ran out, but it looked like nothing had happened outside. After waiting a few minutes, we decided to go in and return to the kitchen, but the atmosphere was terrible. Andy and I saw the mess in the kitchen. Chair and table all broken. Everything inside the kitchen it was broken and completely useless. We were just silent looking at the stage. I saw the sweat on the foreheads and Andy's hand felt swelled and cold. Andy took me into the room, offered us some bread for dinner. We were both scared, confused, and just looking at each other. Andy grabbed her phone, colored her dad. Andy describes everything that's happening tonight and told about an assessment the old city. Andy was shocked to her. Andy was shocked to hear her father say that the old town we were in actually never existed. Andy was trying to calm me down. In a panic, I asked to get out of Old Town tonight, but Andy still refused and tried to keep my mind calm. Andy tried to convince me that what we were experiencing was just a hallucination because we were tired of working all day. In the middle of the night, I woke up feeling like my food was all over me. And not just me, but Andy felt the same way. The two of us wake up. The terrible atmosphere grew even more horrible as we smelled the stench all over the room. Atmosphere grew even more horrible as we smelled the stench all over the room. We heard strange noise outside the room, like calling our names. Andy was a Muslim. He told me to keep quiet. I just saw Andy raise her hands and say dua in Arabic words. A little later, our bedroom window was open and the wind blew across our rooms. In a flash, the stench and the strange sound disappeared, and we continued to sleep. The strange sounds disappeared, and we continued to get sleep. By the next day, Andy had packed everything, and Andy had been forced out of the old city the same day. Andy's words were very clear. There was something very horrible about this old town and we didn't know it. Andy was no doubt driving out the old town and already passed under the gates. Those of us who were so curious about the old town simply said goodbye to themselves. It's the near view mirror. Many creatures with terrible face stood under the gates and waved at us. We turned to the city, but Andy asked to visit and see her father first before I went back to my house. We left the old city without saying goodbye. We left the old city in a state of panic. We left the old city with fearful. Andy's father, very surprised to hear the story we had. Andy's father understood perfectly well what had happened. We feel we had been in the old city for days, but Andy's father says we had just said our goodbyes about 4 hours ago when Andy got the news. We had just said our goodbyes about 4 hours ago when Andy got the news. He went on the trip and accompanied me to volunteer in the old city. Andy's father says that the old town was Jinn City. It's an old Jinn Town. Yes, the old Jinn Town. The old city was the Jinn Town. The Jinn Town. The city of Jinn that was wasted from the entire surface of the earth. But I had to stay at Andy's house for a few moments to perform some rituals to cleanse my body and my soul of the gene disorders that was still following us. Andy's father also said that we had made a mistake when we were giving a ride to a strange man got into our car. This old man is a Jinn figure, a genie who lives in the old city, a genie who lives in the Jinn town. The old man was still sane in the car and the when was driving. And his father asked the old man to return. But the old man refused and asked to stay by their side. The old man, it's a Jinn. The old man is a very evil Jinn. But we feel calm after a few days of rituals to cleanse our bodies and souls of the distractions of the old city. A few years after the Jeans City incident, I got a promotion and was already an overseer of the company I work for. One day, I got a call from someone who claimed to know me. The foreigner asked that a volunteer be sent to their small town to conduct a medical examination for the people who live there. I feel like I was hypnotized and said yes to them. A few months later, I sent a help volunteers to the old town and she never came back. My name is Freddy and this is the story, the horrified story of the old Jinn Town in the universe.